Hello friends, now we'll start with the topic that is friend function. What do you mean by friend function? As you can see, the function, whichever function you are declaring as a friend, that function can be accessible as a friendly to the class. Now we'll start with the topic that is friend function. What is friend function? If you want to access any private data member of that class, then how we can access? Can we access those? No, we cannot access directly private data members. But if you want to access those private data members, how we can do that? So if you want to access that private data members, you have to make that class as a friend or that function as a friend. Then only you can access that function private data members outside the function. We'll see in details. In general, only one member of a class have access to the private member of the class. However, it is possible to allow non-member function access to the private members of a class by declaring it as a friend of a class. To make a function a friend of a class, you just need to include prototype in the class declaration and precede it with the keyword that is friend. A function is declared with the friend keyword, but while defining a friend function, it does not use either keyword friend or the scope resolution operator. A function can be friend of one or more than one class. Member function of a one class can be friend function of another class. In such cases, they are defined using scope resolution operator. Yes, one function can be friend for the multiple classes, but one member function can be friend for the one particular class. Next, there are some characteristics to define a friend functions. First is, it is not in the scope of the class to which it has been declared as a friend. That means whatever the friend function you are declaring, you cannot specify it inside the scope of a class. Next, a friend function cannot be called using the object of the class. If can be invoked like a normal function without the help of any object. Likewise, if we are calling any member functions as using object with a dot operator, but for the friend function, if you want to get a call, you will not use any dot operator or the object. You will directly use a function name. Next, it cannot access the member variables directly and has to use an object name dot membership operator with a member name. Like if it want to access any member data of a class, he has to create the object of that data class and dot operator, then only he can access the data value and data member function. Next, it can be declared either in a public or a private part of a class without affecting its meaning. So if you want to specify the friend function, you can declare it as a public or a private. It doesn't matter. Next, usually it has the object as an argument because the friend function is accessed by the classes. So whenever the classes will get accessibility, that time it has to provide the parameter as a object. We'll see the example. See, we are creating one class as A, which having two data member as X and Y. And we are creating one function which is display, and that display function is having the keyword friend. So we can say this is a friend function. Display function having a parameter as a ampersand of obj. That means this function is storing the parameter which is the object of class A. Okay? Then I am creating one member function as void get data. With the help of get data, I am just displaying the value of X and Y. After closing the class, we'll see the definition of a method is void display a ampersand of obj. Now if you see that this is a friend function, and for that we are not using any scope resolution operator even though we are declaring this function outside the class, because this is a friend function and that is a friend for the class A, that is not a member of a class. So we can access it outside the class, we can define it outside the class. So inside the function what we are doing, we are just displaying the value of x and y. But how to access that? We are using the object name as objx, objy. Fine. Then inside the main function what we are doing, we are creating the object of a, then a dot get data, then display a. That means I'm not using any object value to call the function display, because display is not a member of a class A, it is a friend of a class A. But I am providing the parameter as A, which is an object of a class A. Then get ch and return 0. So if I execute this code, I'll get output as the value of x and the value of y. Whatever you will specify, that value you will get at the time of execution. That is, by default you will get the value of a will be 0 and 0. Fine with it? So friend function is not a member of a class, but you can make it as a friend to access the private data member. Which private data member you have asked? See, inside this we are using the private data member which are x and y, which is defined over here. Thank you.